gentlemen, the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mr. Mario Lopez, our final summer show of 2019.
I always get disappointed when I don't get a moniker. I always get disappointed. I thought I was going to have the end of summer Lopez or something like that. But anyway, nice to be here with you, Ken. Justin Buffalo Knuckles on the 1s and 2s representing with the gear.
Steve's okay after last week's fall.
You know, one thing I'm
not... dude, I cannot believe when you wiped out, the chair held up. Because you're a big-ass dude. I thought the chair, I was worried about the chair because that's my wife sits in that chair during our show. By the way, that might have been the best flurry we've ever done. And I'm surprised you didn't have to get stitches on the back of your dome. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was my impersonation of Jaron Williams, the Miami quarterback, on Saturday. But you know one thing I'm not...
Inside college football.
I'm not Fat Joe. I am not leaning back this week. But we've got a lot of things to talk about. Saturday from Russia with Love on ESPN+. The WBO 175-pound title stays with the Crusher. Sergey Kovalev stopping the game tough. Anthony Yarde in 11 rounds. Kovalev moves to 34-3-1, 29 knockouts. Mario, at age 36, the Crusher may not be what he once was, but he is still a formidable fighter. And once again, fundamentals matter. It was that jab that chipped away at that piece of hard marble that was Anthony Yarde.
I thought he looked great. He was up against a young, tough, strong guy who was very game, who had moments, and who I thought was, since he was closing the distance come the 8th round, I think it was, when he had a huge round, I go, oh, the tide may be turning. But Kovalev is so smart about the way he uses his distance in his length. And like you said, the jab, which he peppers. And after a while, when he does a good job of going upstairs and downstairs, and after a while, I don't care who you are, you chip away and you land those right hands on the chin, it's going to take
You tenderize a guy.
You're going to tenderize a guy. And I think he emptied his tank in that 8th. And after that, he literally knocked him out with a jab.
I mean, ran right into it.
Yeah, which he's dropped guys with jabs before. Didn't he drop Andre Ward with a jab?
I think he stunned him in the first. Right, it was a short right hand in the second.
Right, that was it. So there's a stiff jab, but Kovalev, like I said, that was a lot of experience, what I thought played a factor. He's savvy. Yeah, maybe a couple miles have gotten off the fastball, but man, he can still crack. He still knows how to use that distance. The combinations, he punches in bunches. He knows how to use his distance. Just a savvy experience, great performance, I thought, on championship performance, I thought, from him. Yarde, to his credit, fought tough. Was very brave. You know, he could be a better fighter for it later on down the road, assuming it doesn't take too much of a psychological hit from him.
And physical beating.
Yeah,
there was residual beating.
That's the thing. Kovalev was landing those nice combos, good, again, brilliant going upstairs and downstairs, but those short little choppy right hands and those hard jabs like we took. Yeah, there was a lot of blows to the head, but I thought he is still a live, dangerous fighter in this weight class.
You know, when you try to break up a big piece of marble or granite, you're never going to do it with one shot. You got to chip away, or I got a jackhammer. You got to work. And that's what the jab was. Round after round, he just tenderized them. He softened them up. And one thing about Yarde, which I found interesting, he does this wild mitt routine. Him and his trainer actually take pride in saying, we never spar. We don't need to spar.
Wait, what do you mean?
They literally said they don't spar a round. And
that doesn't make any sense. How do you prepare?
Exactly. And that's why the trainer's taking a lot of heat. I remember when Ray Leonard came back against Marvin Hagler in 1987, he actually said he needed sparring to learn how to get hit again and to feel the leather on his face. He said the first couple of weeks, there was this one sparring partner out of Texas. His name was Quincy Taylor. Ended up becoming a WBC middleweight champion for a while. And he said, as much as I had boxed before, from being off, I actually had to relearn how to feel punches. And, I do wonder if it would actually help Anthony Yarde just to spar 50 rounds just to get the timing.
It doesn't almost seem believable, to tell you the truth. That's sort of bizarre. With that said, he was taking a lot of shots pretty well.
Showed a good chin, though, by the way.
That's my point. Huh?
And you talked about Kovalev's discipline, and you're absolutely right. And I think him and Buddy McGirt work. He finally has a guy that he listens to, and you're absolutely right. There are times when he stunned Yarde, and instead of breaching his own airspace, he drew a line in the sand, imaginary, and he said, I'm not crossing this. I'm just going to be right here, and I will always win that distance battle. And also, I noticed this when they squared off. Now, Anthony Yarde is built out, like, he's chiseled.
He's a strong kid.
He can make magazine covers. But Anthony Yarde had the better build, but I did notice about Kovalev, his body looked more chiseled also. And I talked to Kathy Duva this morning. He's finally listening to a real strength and conditioning coach who believes that we can reverse the aging process a little bit. Now,
he's one of those guys, though. He'll never look like he's going to be on
Right.
the cover of Flex magazine, but he's just a heavy-handed guy. He's got that snap, and he's just, as we know, the muscles don't mean anything. And as we know, is the last thing to go as well with most heavy-handed fighters. But he continues to remain, he's fundamentally sound, and he continues to remain disciplined, and I think he's invigorated with Buddy McGirt now.
the one thing I like that he does, that every once in a while, he'll throw a really fast combination. He changes speed.
He goes left, right, right, left, right. Yes, and straight
And
down
that
the middle.
1-2-1 is what I'm going to start calling the Kovalev. It's the jab, cross, and jab. And a lot of guys are pairing for the hook, and he's coming right down the middle.
And he was doing it upstairs and downstairs.
Right. And you're right. And that second jab, he really thrusts into it. So it's almost like a straight left. It's not a jab per se.
Right.
And I believe that Kovalev's boxing IQ and the fact that he actually trusts Buddy McGirt is going to extend this career. Now, there's a lot of talk that he might get Canelo.
Yes.
I called Kathy Duba this morning, and I said, okay, how did your conversation go with Oscar and Eric from Golden Boy? They haven't called yet.
Well, of course not. I mean, we know he's going to probably end up fighting at the end of this year, and you can't put the cart before the horse. But let's just go there for a second. Nothing led me to believe, based on this last performance.
Still Duke?
Dude, he is all wrong for us, baby. There's no, why would you want a part of that? It just, everything. Listen, I know that Kovalev, it looks like he doesn't necessarily welcome shots to the body, but who does?
Who does?
Right? He still, because like I said, the way he uses his jab in that distance, who knows if you'll allow Canelo, who's not exactly fleet of foot, to get close enough
Also
to
the
get
reach.
there. Right?
Kovalev has a light heavyweight reach.
The height, the reach, the activity. I'm
Mario,
still confused as to why he would welcome that fight when there's so many others.
As disciplined as Kovalev is with his feet and keeping distance, and he has that long stick, that batter ram from the outside. Where is Canelo going to throw those counter shots? Like
exactly. That's my point. So nothing led me to believe that would be something that Canelo sees where he's ready to be pushed off the cliff. Not with that, and that was a big, strong kid. He just fought, and a good fighter.
And it's a light heavyweight puncher.
No, right, exactly.
I mean,
he's going to be able to eat those and what. So I'm very confused by him wanting that fight.
That I'm getting is that Canelo and his camp, led by Eddie Reynoso, they absolutely want Kovalev.
No, I know that. I'm just blown away that they. I mean, a part of me is like, hey, he's got that Mikey Garcia attitude where he wants to jump up to and take on a dangerous guy
comparison.
Like with Errol
Be
Spence. Be
careful
right?
what you wish
But exactly,
for.
I think the same fight could possibly play out as well.
And it reminds me of that old line from Matt Schmeling when he saw young undefeated Joe Louis before he fought him, and no one gave him a shot. And he says, "I see something." They see something.
Is that your German?
Yeah, not very good, is it? Yeah, I'll build a Berlin Wall over that one. But the other word is that Golden Boy's management, led by Oscar and Eric, they're like, they see it the way you do. They're like, wait a minute, this guy's a tall, big, strong, light heavyweight.
2 weight classes.
Who's now regained his bearings under Buddy McGirt. Now, maybe when he was training himself, in essence, you say, okay, maybe that's the time. But I have to tell you, against two big, young, strong guys, and Ilir Alvarez and Yarde, who have light heavyweight toughness and durability, look, he's won 20 out of 24 rounds, in my view.
Of course.
Or 23, and with the knockout.
And the bizarre thing is there's a lot of good fights to be made both at 60 and 68 before jumping.
Right.
So it's, I don't get it. But hey, you know what? I'd rather a fighter be too ambitious.
Yes, than not ambitious at all.
Exactly.
Moving on The Zone in Hermosillo, Mexico, the WBC super flyweight title was retained by Juan Francisco Estrada, beating the game and courageous Dwayne Steeman Willie Beeman in 9 rounds. I really like Beeman. He was fast, he was quick, he was gutty, he was landed some right hands, but the overall class and the power of Estrada really did separate the two.
It was very similar to the Kovalev fight, and where both fighters were very game, went there to try to win, gutsy performances, had some moments, but at the end, the caliber of opposition,
the eliteness showed.
You're right, and Estrada, man, because that kid looked tough, and I said, ooh, this could, he can get caught in exchange here. It might be bad news. But Estrada, just the adjustments he made and the counters with
and
those.
And the power. The placement of those shots.
It was the placement of the shot. I don't even know if he's necessarily strong with him, but his timing and the way he just sets it up, and he's always balanced. Because a couple of those knockdowns, he was coming in trying to be a little aggressive. He might have been a little off balance, but nevertheless, it was a knockdown. I thought it was great. And what a dangerous customer. But game fighters for both of those opponents. They were fun fights.
Yeah, and Juan Francisco Estrada, in my view, is the best Mexican fighter not named Canelo. And I think he's one of the top 10 to 12 fighters in the world, pound for pound. A lot of talk about him unifying the title with Cal Yafai out of the UK, and Yafai, I believe, is also promoted by Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Sports. So that fight is very, very makeable in that regard. Also on this card, going through some of the results, Liam Smith, TKO in 7 over Mario Alberto Lozano. I like Liam Smith. That's a solid blue-collar grinder.
Yeah,
And
that was a nice little performance by him. The way he went to the body and he came up, that was cool.
In retrospect, that's one of Canelo's underrated victories.
Yeah.
The way he took him apart.
It is.
If you look back. Also, Jono Carroll and Shakram Giyassev with a 28-second destruction over Darlis Perez. Giyasev's another guy being fast-tracked by Vadim Kornilov in that group. Mario, this Saturday afternoon on ESPN Plus from the O2 Arena in London, England, the WBO, WBA, and the vacant WBC lightweight title is on the line. Vasyl Lomachenko takes on Luke Campbell. Mario, I'm going to say it right now. This fight goes the distance, and I think it's a difficult stylistic fight. I like Lomachenko. Won't be easy.
I don't think it'll be easy either. I don't know if I'm calling upset because he's so good at making adjustments and taking it to another level and figuring out his opponents, their weakness and exploiting it. But I think it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out, and I see it going the distance as well.
People forget Luke Campbell only has one less gold medal than Lomachenko. So he has a good amateur background himself.
He can fight.
He's tall, he's lean, he has a good boxing IQ. So in my view, this is one of those fights that Lomachenko actually has to be the aggressor. I think he's going to be the guy in the center of the ring, or at least he has to be. Remember, this is still in London, still a road game for him. And
Teofimo Lopez pointed out, too, that the physical disparity between him and his last opponent, that
matters.
tough Asian
It
kid,
matters.
it does matter.
If you know how to use the distance.
Right, and he even referred to Lomachenko and his upcoming opponents, so we'll see.
Yeah, and you look at Luke Campbell. I was there when he went nip and tuck. It was a smidge that he lost by Jorge Linares. I thought they each won 6 rounds. Linares knocked him down in the 3rd round, I believe, in September of 2017 at the Forum. And by the end of the fight, I said to myself, if there was an extra 3 rounds, I'm not so sure it would have been Linares retaining that title. And Linares, I spoke to Linares for a story for ESPN. He absolutely thinks Campbell's going to give him hell. He actually says, I've been in there with both guys.
Yeah, exactly. He's been in there.
And he gave Linares gave Lomachenko his toughest fight, and he beat Campbell. He said, stylistically, based on what I know, he expects a distance fight, and he says it won't be easy for Lomachenko. To me, that is very, very telling. Moving on to news and notes. Mario, punch your passport, get your ticket ready. You're going to Saudi Arabia.
I can't because I've been to Israel.
Alongside Andy Ruiz, who has agreed to fight Anthony Joshua. All the T's were crossed, the I's were dotted.
Did they up his guarantee?
Yeah, they gave him a little bit more. They sweetened the pot, and they also got some.
Well, then I guess his little plan worked.
Well, it did. And look, I don't believe it was out of line, but they also got some other things worked out from administrative level in terms of judging, the commission, making sure everything's on the up and up. Here's the question, though. Andy Ruiz was supposed to be at the gym last week. Never showed up, even though his trainer said, Steve, it's time. He's got to get back in here.
Yeah.
Okay, but the fight wasn't officially signed yet. Now it's signed. Now I'm going to go check at Legends. I think he shows up this week. He had a nice birthday party this past weekend.
He had girls with sushi on it.
It was all white. It was like P. Diddy.
Yeah,
all white party.
Listen, good for him. He took a victory lap, but this seems like an Indy 500.
5K marathon,
yeah, it seems
Boston
like a long
Marathon.
lap. I just don't want to see Rocky Balboa a la Rocky 3. And Josh
working out in the ballroom with the bubble machine.
Yeah, and Josh was
selling
training
t-shirts.
like Clubber Lang, and we see a difference. Look, do I see the fight playing out different? Okay, it wasn't like it was a one-punch knockout or he had one round of success where it turned the fight. He did knock him down 4 times.
It was a steady beating.
It was a steady beating. He got dropped down, answered the call. Now, we know that there was a certain element maybe of surprise because Ruiz, not to discredit Ruiz, because I love the guy and I'm a big fan of the moment in him, but there was a certain element of surprise. He was a late fill-in. Joshua may have underestimated him. He knows what he's getting now. He's going to be real prepared, and he knows what the consequences are if he were to lose this one, especially in a dramatic fashion. So I think we're going to see the best Joshua, maybe a Klitschko version of Joshua with the jab and stink up the joint to try to get the victory, okay? Ruiz I'm not assuming anything, but, he's thinking, I dropped this guy 4 times. I don't necessarily need to change anything, but At the same time, I think you've got to be just as prepared, if not even more, because you might have to start chasing him a little bit more. And I just think condition-wise, and your legs got to be that much stronger to close the distance to be able to use those fast hands to counter. So it's going to be interesting. The dude's got to get in the gym, bottom line. Put down the sushi girls and quit partying, homie. Let's get in the gym. Let's get focused. The cervezas, yeah. No more tortas. Like, come on.
The way Andy Ruiz has handled this victory, and again, everyone deserves a victory lap or a parade.
Yeah, but homie went around the block like 3 times already.
Yeah, yeah. This thing's been longer than the Rose Parade. Okay,
I was like,
but here's the issue, though. Keep in mind this variable. When Andy Ruiz got this assignment to fight June 1st, he had fought April 20th. So he was already coming off a 2-month camp, took about a week off, and got right back into it.
Yeah.
He fought June 1st, and now we're talking, this is basically now September.
I know exactly. Look, he's not like the Diaz brothers in the UFC. Those dudes have a fight, and then they start training for like a triathlon.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they're constantly, like, they're always in shape. This is not, or at least I'm assuming it's not Andrew Ruiz. He's homie's just living in the gym, or he's always in training. Like Floyd, you got to get Floyd credit. My man always never looked
24/7, 365.
Exactly, always stays in shape. That's not, and he's, he's already a heavier guy too. So just to lose the weight to be in somewhat condition, right, for him, it's going to be. I'm not saying I'm concerned.
How about
I'm
the
just
mental mind frame of being a fighter? When I still recall Buster Douglas and Asim Rahman.
That's a great.
There was things outside the ring that kind of portended. It was like a bleak vision, foreshadowing of, are you going to be Tommy Two-Tone, a one-hit wonder? 867-5309.
Great song.
Thank you.
Buster Douglas, when he fought Evander Holyfield after he knocked out Tyson, he came in, I think, what was it, like 40 pounds heavier?
No, it wasn't 40, but he blew up.
There was something crazy like that.
He blew up a lot. And I remember Buster Douglas was actually on Saturday night's main event with WWF. He knocked out Randy Savage as a guest referee, and it was actually supposed to be Mike Tyson in that spot until he lost.
I don't remember that.
So
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, and I wrote a story on it. What happened was they told Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson was supposed to be our guest referee till you knocked him out in Tokyo. Can you show up Friday night to some city? We're doing a big NBC show. And he threw a right hand on Savage, and he knocked him out.
The Macho Man, oh yeah.
There was actually stories that when he was at the Wynn Hotel, Steve Wynn actually bought that fight, that maids were coming out of Buster Douglas's room every day during that fight week.
He was smashing maids?
No, there was like...
Oh, I thought he was pulling a Tiger Woods and smashing maids on the side.
But there was like $200-300 worth of food every day that he was ordering. Yeah. There was also one story that Ray Leonard talks about that he was in the sauna and Buster Douglas was there. He had a pizza with him. So
Come on,
man. No, and then
why was he in the sauna? Yeah, the great thing about being a heavyweight is you don't have to make weight.
And then 3-4 years later, he's in a diabetic coma.
Yeah. No, that fool liked it. He was excessive.
Pancakes are like $40 through room service.
Right,
so.
and so sometimes when you reach that mountaintop, you can fall off the cliff.
Well, yeah, no, God, dude, what a letdown. Here's the thing, if Ruiz were to go in there and lose, okay, fine, but he's got to look like there was an effort made. It was competitive. But if he goes in there Buster Douglas style and gets like Kato and looks, Rockman, the raza is not gonna let him live it down, bro. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Mario, I see a lot of things with my eyes, without my glasses, even with my contact lenses off. One thing I don't see? The Showtime boxing schedule. Now, right now, I'm not saying they're out of the business, but I look at the schedule, and I'm filling it in my Miami football calendar or my Snoopy calendar, and I write down, okay, the Zone has this show, ESPN, Fox. I'm not putting the letters SHO in parentheses. Is it Showtime or is it No Time? I'm a little worried.
Well, it seems like they've spread the love over to Fox.
Spread?
And
how about just shifted everything?
Or just shifted, yeah.
Outside of two Gervonta Davis's fight, Deontay Wilder fight, and the Jermell Charlo card. Okay, that was all the first half. They didn't do anything particularly memorable. Still love the Showbox series. They literally have nothing now.
I understand what you're saying, but we're still getting the fights. They just happen to be on other platforms, and I'm not mad at it because I still like Billions, and you said City on the Hill is good.
City on the Hill.
Haven't gotten there yet, but
right.
So I don't think you should cancel your...
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying that Steven Espinoza gave an interview to Lance Pugmire of The Athletic where he's kind of saying, yeah, we built all these guys, and well, they're on Fox. Okay, that's great. But my point is, well, why don't you protect your network? And I like Steven Espinoza. I get along with him very well. And
Smart
I
guy.
think we need more outlets for these fights to happen. But I do wonder. Now, my understanding is they are going to have a fight in November and December. And we don't know where the Wilder-Ortiz pay-per-view is going to go. That's either going to go to Fox or Showtime. But I just wonder, doesn't this look a lot like HBO in the middle of 2017?
I didn't even think about it when you say
Think
that.
about it.
Oh, man.
Haven't we seen this before?
Would it matter? Let's assume it does go off the platform. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
But if
now.
you're Showtime, the words of Keith Sweat come to mind. Something just ain't right.
Well, you
I'm
could
just
have
telling you.
could have taken that mantle and really become the new
Right.
the new king in
Of
that
premium cable.
premium cable, but instead they might be going the way of HBO. Interesting to see how
And
it's gonna
Bob
play
Arum
out.
predicted this on the
Yeah.
3 knockdown rule
Yeah.
several months ago. Mario, you're very familiar with Dana White. And he made it clear during a appearance on the Chris Mannix show, SI Boxing, I believe. He talked about it, and now he's flat out said, put it on the table. Zuffa Boxing, we are starting in October. I've got new ideas. I'm going to be a big part of this business. This business is broken, and I'm going to fix it. These other guys don't have a business, but I have a real business plan.
He told me this actually in person a few months ago. When I was at his office in UFC headquarters in Vegas, which is, by the way, incredibly impressive.
Sprawling
Oh my
facility.
God, it really is. He's got acres there. Anyway, it's so ambitious because the UFC itself, he's totally manipulated MMA, really. With
To
that,
a
I know-
point, it's a monopoly. Let's be honest.
Exactly,
No matter what
exactly.
he says, it's a monopoly.
100%. And then you got Bellator and some other, but still, he's obviously dominated that market. I don't know how he's going to spread himself so thin, or he's going to delegate. I don't know how he's going to do
He
it.
is going to hire someone in October that I think's already hired. They're going to announce it. Someone's
Yeah.
going to run Zuffa Boxing.
Yeah.
The question is, though, he has no boxers on
Well,
his
that's
roster.
that's what I was going to say.
Right.
Who do you sign on and who's available potentially to get? There's a lot of questions to be answered. Who knows if he's going to start out big, start off small? Interesting to see how it plays
And
out.
the other thing is,
I'm gonna ask him. I'll just ask him and tell you.
what's he going to do when he has to deal with managers, like real managers like Frank Espinoza, Shelley Finkel, Cameron Duncan? They're going to say, no, you're not just using us. We have a say in this.
And here's the thing about the UFC. Which is kind of cool from a fan's perspective. He makes all the fights. You don't like it, then you're not
He's
fighting.
the puppet master.
He's the puppet master, and you get to see the best fights, and that's the best fight, the best all the time. That's not going to be the same as in boxing.
And also the Muhammad Ali Act, where you have to disclose financial disclosures. And like Bob Arum once said about New Jack promoters who promised to clean up the business. The desert is strewn with bleached bones. So good luck to Dana White. September schedule. Now, we're taking next week off because you got a loaded schedule with your new gig next week. So we're going to take a week off. But we got a lot to talk about in September. Let's go down the list. September 13th, Devin Haney and Danny Roman co-headline on The Zone. The day after on ESPN Plus from Las Vegas. Tyson Fury takes on Otto Wallen. Emmanuel Navarrete is also on the card. And Jose Zepeda takes on Jose Pedraza. September 14th at the Home Depot Stub Center in Carson, Jaime Munguia and Ryan Garcia co-headline. And then on the 28th on Fox pay-per-view, the Showdown, Errol Spence takes on Sean Porter, and David Benavidez takes on Anthony Durrell, and Mario Barrios takes on Batir
Mario
Akhmedov.
Barrios.
Yeah. Anything catch your eye in that
I
schedule?
like all those fights.
Yeah.
That's a fun a group of fights right there. I think Spence Porter is going to be a pretty entertaining scrap.
Meaningful fight. It's
It
a
is a
welterweight
meaningful fight.
unification.
It's a good fight. I always love when I get to see Benavidez fight, and I think here in LA with Munguia and Ryan Garcia, that should be a fun fight. And I'm also looking forward to the fight in Pasadena.
Friday
That's
night.
happening Friday.
We're going to be there.
It's actually outside on. They've shut down the boulevard. It's about a block from Oscar's house, which I know he's.
So wait a
gonna
minute,
show
he
up.
might show
He's
up.
definitely gonna
Wait a
show
minute.
up.
Wait, Oscar, there's a fight on Friday. Please show
But
up.
it actually sounds like a good time, and
Please.
and he got the city to chime in, and they're shutting down the block.
Isn't it near City Hall?
It's right near City Hall. There's going to be right near the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. There's going to be beer gardens. There's going to be bands playing. It's going to be a good time.
So you can't fight City Hall, but you could fight near it in Pasadena.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. It'll be
Couple
fun.
of things about the September schedule. The one fight I'm really interested in, I think Danny Roman against Murzhan Akhmadaliev. I know Akhmadaliev only has 6 fights. I think this is his toughest title defense yet. So this is going to be a litmus test. Moving on to the Ask Mario segment of this fine program. Yo Mama Side Piece asks, okay, Mario
Love that
Lopez
handle.
Viva,
Yo mama side piece.
who you got, Masvidal or Diaz, and will you be at that fight?
Oh gosh, both of those guys are not champions technically, but they could headline a pay-per-view event. That's the brilliant thing about when you're a character and you certain brand, you brand yourself. as a really appealing entity right there. Oh man, here's the thing: Diaz hadn't fought in 3 years, but damn, he looked good against Pettis, and Masvidal is just on fire right now. But you can never count on Diaz. It's honestly a 50-50 fight, but I'm always leaning towards my boy Diaz, kind of the West Coast. I go with the West Coast gangster.
Órale.
La
yeah.
raza. Yeah, well, for any raza. Yeah.
Here's one from TBA, Tom, Bob, Anderson. What is the most anticipated fight scheduled for the rest of 2019? And Mario, over under 12 wins for the Chargers this year. I'm going to say 11-5.
Well, I'm looking forward to
solid, though. That makes the playoffs.
Well, to answer his first question, the Ruiz-Joshua rematch, okay? The second one, oh, God, did Melvin Gordon sign yet?
Not yet. I heard it's not looking good, by the way.
Oh, gosh. And
he said he'll go full Le'Veon Bell, worst case. Which
that didn't work out well for Le'Veon Bell, though. Derwin James being hurt. Oh, well, I'm going to be optimistic and say over, obviously.
Wow, with all that, okay. My most anticipated fight is not been fully signed on the dotted line, but I think it's inside the 5-yard line and it's first and goal. I talked to Lou DiBella this morning.
Roger, the Regis Prograis?
Looks like the Prograis-Taylor fight. Paperwork is now being exchanged.
Well, that's not official yet. If that was it, then that would be there too.
But I think right there, I would put that in pencil.
That's my Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
Okay.
Cosmic Bandito. Any chance we can get regularly televised amateur boxing events on apps like DAZN or ESPN, much like college basketball or football? Do you think it would help build stars from being able to see fighters develop from youth? Now, Mario, here's the thing. I think there's so much boxing on already. I don't know how much of an appetite there is with a lot of people to watch amateur boxing. Now, I will say this. Growing up in the 80s, Mario, Wide World of Sports actually used to show USA Boxing when they'd have like these amateur meets, these dual meets with the Cubans. They didn't have headgear on either. And like I kind of knew who Meldrick Taylor and Pernell Whitaker was. And I still remember like Howard Cosell would actually be the announcer as we take on these young Cubans.
This is Howard Cosell.
Okay, that wasn't that good.
I thought you were going to finish it for me. I didn't commit all the way.
Let me do the impersonations here. Let Steve Kim Liendo do this. But I think the niche audience would be there. I think you're better off just having USA Boxing stream them. Yeah. But you're right. If I look in college basketball and football, the fact that we know a lot of these kids from age 18 makes them household names by the time they're 22. But again, there's so much boxing on. I'm not so sure anyone could actually budget another 8 hours.
You don't want to oversaturate the market.
No. Edgar Loya, do you think Kovalev will take the November fight with such a scare and a short turnaround? Mario, if you're Kovalev, let's just answer this. I want to be Kathy Duba. They're going to pay you $15 million to fight November 2nd. What do you think, Sergey?
Well, of course. Listen, he's at the age now, too, where I try to squeeze in as much as possible.
He said 5 more fights.
Yeah, that's great. And if he can make that, good for him.
And the bottom line is, let's say he faced the other light heavyweights, Bivol, Gavozic, Beterbiev. Great fights. Those pay him a fraction of a small percentage of that fight. Ivan Mendez. Do you think Canelo Kovalev can end up being like Mikey Garcia going up in weight to fight Spence? You kind of believe that, don't you?
Well, I actually made that comparison earlier. Yeah, I do, actually. I think that just like the Garcia-Spence fight, that he didn't necessarily get hurt, but it wasn't necessarily competitive either, and it just seemed unnecessary. And that's how I feel about this fight right now.
Yeah, and speaking of Mikey Garcia, spoke to him a little bit last week. He's still a free agent, still kind of hovering, doesn't know what he's going to do. He says, I might stay at 47. I might go down to 140. I'll be honest. I think going to 140 is the best thing.
Of course. You know, I thought it was, yes, of course. You got to go to 140. And he looks like he could still make 35.
Yeah, if you really want.
One free agent for Dana White.
There you go. Very good, Nichols. Very good.
And they met last year. They actually met a couple of times.
Look at that.
Yes. So, and
Nichols with the foresight.
But again, all right, let's say you're Mikey Garcia and you sign on the dot for Zuffa Boxing. Here's the other question.
He's crazy. He might do that.
Right. But then who do you fight?
I think Dana.
Who do you fight?
I think Dana would have to sign, obviously, a couple other guys that are close to ending their contracts on that. There's a plethora of guys.
Going back to Dana White, I'd love to have him in studio now that he's made his intentions clear. You could probably make that happen. The other thing is, I think to make the biggest fights in boxing, Mario, you have to co-promote, right? You have to reach across the aisle. Has he ever done that with the UFC and the MMA?
Well, no, because he has everybody at that level. He doesn't have to reach across.
You're telling me Bellator's never had a fighter that would make a good fight with UFC? Really?
He's had certain.
Really?
No. He dominates the whole talent pool. Some fighters, when after their term is up, then maybe they'll go to Bellator. There's some talented fighters, good fighters there too, but UFC is pretty much where it's at.
Moving on to final Flurries. Mario, last week, one of my favorite restaurants in Montebello is a place called Little Mexico. It's right by Leo Santa Cruz's gym. literally right across the street from the Harvard of East LA, Montebello High School, class of 90 shout out. And so I had to go to Walgreens down the street after I had some great ceviche, best ceviche in the world. So I'm going down and I see Montebello Intermediate, which is obviously not as good as La Merced Intermediate. So it's still kind of like mid-August, and I'm going down and I see kids coming out of school. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is this August?
See, you don't have kids.
What
dude.
the hell? No, but when
used
we
to-
were growing up,
used
we
to-
got Labor Day at
It was
least.
after, yeah, you had a full summer. No,
That's terrible.
but they start summer earlier now, and they obviously
that's
gotta
terrible.
Go back. No, I agree. You shouldn't go back till after Labor. That's the way it is. That's the way. My kids went last week.
Yeah.
They started this last week.
That
But
is
yeah,
wild.
yeah, I know. But as a parent, you like it because you get them out of the house quicker.
No, but do you get them back sooner? Does the vacation start in May now?
I forget what it was, but yeah, just the summer sort of just shifted. It's the same amount of time. It's just shifted. Yeah.
To
but it
me,
is-
summer always means June.
No, I know.
And the first day of school should be always after the week 1 of the NFL on Labor Day.
Well,
You get
that's how
that Tuesday.
It was a nice way. There's a lot of cool things.
We
about
had
when
it
grew up.
lucky. We had
Yes,
it lucky.
We did.
Mario, I know the way you are. If you poured someone some Casa de Mexico tequila,
Or Casa Mexico.
Casa Mexico, and if they turned it down, you'd say, you know what, I respect your decision. I know what you wouldn't do. You wouldn't blindside that guy.
Are you talking about your boy Conor McGregor?
What was going on there, man?
You know, he's had a
Some
few
issues.
episodes that are not a good look.
You think?
when
You
he
think?
smashed that guy's phone for taking a picture of him, when he threw the barricade, obviously, at the Khabib's bus that he was in, and when he was in this bar in Ireland and he punched this older gentleman just because he didn't want to take a shot of the whiskey.
He got 2 shots, all right.
Yeah.
He got 2-piece, all right. I'll tell you that
By the
much.
way, that guy had a good beard.
Good
He
beard.
didn't go down,
Yeah.
dude. He took a shot. He didn't go down.
budge.
Not a good. None of those things are a good look, man. And he did an interview recently with your ESPN.
I saw that. He
with
did
Errol
seem
Hawani.
contrite, but
I don't. You know what? Look, listen. He's a fascinating guy, and he's done brilliant marketing himself. And so many guys are trying to now emulate
Aren't
him when
you
they're
worried,
not
though?
as charming. And
there's a lot of incidents.
well, yeah, there's a lot of incidents, and those aren't incidents that you could really justify. Come on, dude, you can punch an old guy. You can't, there's no way around. Like, well, he said this, or he didn't even
Yeah.
he didn't really acknowledge it. He said, "Look, doesn't matter what happened. I was wrong."
Right.
So it was. Yeah, I don't know if he comes back to fight. He sounded like he wanted to, but listen, there's no. And he's talking about title fights. No one's easy there. Whether he wants to go back with Diaz or Masvidal or Tony Ferguson.
How
or
about my
Khabib.
fourth cousin Khabib?
None of those dudes.
My fourth cousin Khabib seems to have it out for him. Seems
Yeah.
like he wants to smash him again.
You know what? Not since you mentioned fourth cousin, I don't want to go too off subject here,
No, go
but that
off
reminded
subject.
me. So you know who I was kicking it with this weekend? Steven Seagal.
Really?
Right.
All right. I don't know how that goes.
Who,
to
by
me.
the way, dude, no, because I'm gonna tell you, he's a big ass dude too. When you meet him in person, I sent you the picture, Nicholas. Right? Did you see how big he was?
Yes, I
that
did.
dude's big, dude. Dude, he was such a trip. I had a fascinating conversation with him, but I always assumed he was half Japanese and half white. Right? No, he's actually half Russian Mongol. Like
What?
He's from like Kazakhstan. So in other words, he's like Gennady Golovkin. That's how he kind of has that like
Huh.
Asian. Yes.
Huh.
And he's that, and his father's that from there. And his mom is like German Irish,
So
right?
what's his real name? Because Seagal has to be a stage
Yeah,
name,
no,
right?
I forgot.
Okay.
I think I googled it. I forgot, but that's how he's got that sort of Asian. But he's sort of like when I met him, he actually came from Kazakhstan. So he's got, and dude, he was telling me how he kicks it with Putin, and he invited me to Moscow. It's a conversation for
Yeah.
a longer day. But yeah, I always thought it was half Japanese, half it. He has nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, he's more of your peeps. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Nico Santoro, dude,
Yeah.
come on, above the law. I love that as a kid.
Mark, speaking of what you've been doing this week, did you go to another soccer game? You're really digging the LAFC.
That's a lot of fun. I'm telling you, that's one of the best sports experiences in LA. What a hell of a weekend this weekend with the Dodgers versus the Yankees. And I didn't like the way that turned out. But the bullpen, I'm telling you, man. But they're still going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
There's still only 40 games
There's-
above 500.
Yeah, exactly. And then LAFC versus Galaxy, which was a hell of a game. I wish I could have been there, and ended up as a tie. It's one thing about soccer. Come on, man. Tie shouldn't exist.
Do you think
but-
they should have a shootout after every game?
Well, yes. I mean, God, how difficult could it be? That's what makes it exciting. Just I know they do it when it comes to playoffs. They do it in the playoffs, right?
And World
The play-
Cup.
yeah, in the
Of
world,
course,
yeah,
of
fine,
course.
fine. But come on, why are we gonna end all that work and then you're gonna end as a tie?
It's a
Come
long,
on.
It's a long game.
Yeah, it's a long ass game, so do the shootout. Anyway, it was a hell of a game, a lot of fun. But the Galaxy seems to have their number when it comes to head to head. But I think LAFC is still way ahead,
Yeah.
right?
They're in first place.
Yeah,
in the
they're in
division,
first place.
in
They'll
the
be all
West.
right. But it's a fun time, man. It's a party.
Guys, the NFL season is beginning. Unfortunately, it will not be with Andrew Luck, but we're going to get into that right now. But it's a new season. Antonio Brown is on the Raiders. Le'Veon Bell is on the Jets. Odell Beckham is in Cleveland. The one thing that hasn't changed, where I'm putting my money down on all the games, MyBookie is the place to bet on football every weekend. MyBookie has better bonuses and more prop bets than any other sports book, period. This year, they're hosting the first online handicapping super contest. First place is guaranteed to win at least $100,000. And guess what? It only costs $100 to enter. All you got to do is pick 5 NFL games against the spread every week to climb the leaderboard and score your share of the huge cash prize pool. So I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's been good to me. That's why MyBookie is always the right play. You bet, you win, they pay. So guys, up to $1,000 first deposit bonus. Double your first deposit. Use the promo code KNOCKDOWNS, all one word, all caps, to activate the offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie. And don't forget to use the promo code KNOCKDOWNS when creating your account to claim the bonus. Bet, win, get paid. Mario, Saturday night, third quarter, Miami, Florida. I'm into the game, and my friend turns to me, and he shows me his phone, Hugo, and says, Steve, look at this. I was stunned. It says, Andrew Luck decides to retire.
Yeah.
I was floored.
I was stunned and sad, but not upset. Those fans in Indy are garbage.
Classless.
Just
Classless.
completely classless.
Come on, Indy.
This dude played with a lacerated kidney, which I can't even imagine how painful that is. Also tore part of his abdomen, tore his labrum in his throwing arm, and it goes on and on. He played and behind a crappy line
For the first 5 years,
and still bald. And he's smart enough, Stanford guy, that said, you know what? I want to be able to walk, play with my kids. I'm going to retire. Good for him. And instead of giving him a round of applause,
Like, thank you.
and a
Thank you.
you
A little
for being a
gratitude.
real warrior. Most of these NFL fans, man, they're fat, disgruntled, hate their lives and wives, and are
Wow,
just
Mario,
angry to one. No,
geez.
because it makes me mad where the guy, how are you going to decide what a guy should or should not do? And anybody who's ever been in any sort of pain, because I know about pain, they should never critique or tell another guy what to do.
The timing of
with
that
this-
was strange. He's
I can
literally
see-
on the sideline.
I know.
And all the fans think, man, I can't wait to have him back in a couple. And all of a sudden, news starts to spread. The guy took
man.
off his jersey. I'm like, here's the issue with Andrew
Am I
Luck.
wrong? Am
You're
I
right.
wrong about
Being a
that?
Stanford guy, I've always said those guys are a little bit different because they can go to school with or without football.
Right.
And Andrew Luck, I get the sense, I think he still had a flip phone as of 2 years ago. So I get the sense he's driving the same Corolla he did during his junior year at Stanford. So he probably saved his money, grew up really well-to-do. So he has options. But also, he said something that I think most people are missing. It wasn't about this recent rehab. This was a 4-year process of his life.
He's had a
Where he's been worn down physically
litany
and
of-
mentally.
right.
And in my view, here's what I think is going to happen. Since the Colts have said, and it's a classy move, keep your signing bonus. We
Wow.
owe you that.
Wow, that was huge too, because
But-
that was like 24 million.
24
Yeah,
million,
and
yeah.
I think what's going to happen is, in my view, he's still a competitor. He had a great year last year, one of his
I
most
know.
efficient years. Just my guess.
Dude, when he's healthy, he was one of the best quarterbacks.
Yeah,
in the NFL. He was
absolutely.
awesome.
I'm not Asian Adam Schefter. I have no info,
and he was the team, dude.
but I
He
do
didn't even-
think him and the management had said, you know what? Let me take another redshirt year. Let me take a year off, and if I feel mentally reinvigorated and physically I start to feel a little bit better, let me just decompress from the whole football grind. Let's touch back in April. Let me see where I am. Because the Colts have a really good foundation around him.
Maybe. I don't know. Those were pretty serious injuries, bro. I don't know if listen, if I'm 30 and I've got 100 million and my health intact, peace out. You know?
Yeah.
And I still have a love for the game. Like you said, he's an incredibly smart guy. By the way, my brother-in-law recruited him for Stanford.
Really?
He's from Houston originally at the time, and Harbaugh, I think, was the coach.
Yes, he was.
At the time, and so he was, and Kylie knew him, and so he goes, you got to look at this kid in Houston. I'm telling you, he's huge, he's a beast, great, smart, this and that. But so he had a bit. So Kylie and him are actually close. He knows him from out there. But if I'm that young, I have that much money, I'm out. Peace out. My health means way too. Why risk it? If you want to still be involved in the game, he's a smart guy. Maybe as a coach or what have you, and you can still be involved. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, it's really a shame. I remember watching him his sophomore year. I think it was in 2010, and you just knew like that's going to be an all-pro.
Dude, he's got everything. I mean, the size,
the
the arm, he was
first 4
smart,
years
and he's a complete gentleman too.
of Indianapolis, they went to the playoffs every year. They had mediocre talent across the board outside of maybe T.Y. Hilton. And he literally, every year they went a little bit further in the playoffs. They were actually good enough to go to the AFC Championship game with guys
Yeah.
It was never a great team, and I said this guy's special, but they
didn't surround him. I blame the front office.
Right. Well,
the front office never surrounded him with
the
any kind of
current
talent,
GM.
man.
Is doing a great job.
Right, but I'm
It's
talking
too
about in the
bad
peak of his
the
career. Yeah,
original
exactly.
guy just did a terrible
He did a
job. It was
terrible
basically
job.
Andrew rescue us. But anyway, good luck to Andrew Luck in retirement. Hope he is happy with the rest of his life. Anyway, so Mario, I will see you in 2 weeks. You got a busy week next week.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy. I'm just happy not to get on a plane for a while, but we'll be here, man. Looking forward to hanging out.
A lot of stuff to talk about. All right, so that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule. On behalf of Mario Lopez and Justin Buffalo Knuckles, this is Steve Kim saying adios.